I
No, no, no.
misread your instructions. I went to the LinkedIn link instead of going to the Restream link. So my apologies, Jane. I must have given you a heart attack because I was having a heart attack. But then
I'm so
again, calm, calm. It's
sure.
okay. It's not a
Yes,
problem.
we can now relax. Now we have this talk. I'm so happy. I'm so excited about it. Because especially some of your connections were waiting. So I had a short video put out there already. But the reason why I wanted to have you here as a very, very special guest, before anything, thank you so much again for your precious time and for being here, is because I think being a good communicator is still a very relevant topic in the age of AI. And one of my theories is that if you are a good communicator with other people, you may as well be a good communicator with the machines. So I wanted to hear your take on this. But before we start, can you tell us a little bit about what you do, and also, if that's okay, what you think regarding being a good communicator in the age of AI?
Good. Well, first of all, my introduction. I'm Ricky Lian. Most of my people know me. I'm a corporate trainer and a coach, and I've been doing this now for well nigh on over 30 years. And I've been working with people to help them make them speak better, pitch better, present better, argue better, resolve the conflict better, get through difficult conversations better, anything and everything to do with both written and spoken communication. So communication itself is a very big one, but I like to concentrate on speaking because people's voices, people are very reluctant very often to show you my intelligence because I'm frightened you're going to be judge me. So
Mm.
on to your second point about being a good communicator in the age of AI. AI has now pushed us to become even better. And I like your title, being a good communicator in the age of AI. But today, Kim, it's not sufficient to be good. You have to be very good. In fact, let's take it a step up. You've got to be proficient, means that you're more than competent. In fact, I'm nudging all my clients to be excellent communicators. Why? With AI pushing up the level, we are now in global competition. So you're in Korea, I'm in Australia, that we have competitors all over the world, from the US, from the UK, from Canada. So if we think that we can just remain staying at the same level as a speaker, writer, listener, and whatever we do in communication, I'm sorry, you're going to go to the back of the class. Because today, with the millennials pushing us, because I'm in the older generation, I'm not going to give them a chance to be better than me because I can only be me and better than me by myself. So if I wait for you or for anybody else to push me out from being good to very, okay, fair, because they're much better, then I've lost out on my age. So this day, being a good communicator in the age of AI isn't sufficient. Let's be excellent.
Oh, that's an excellent point indeed. And I was also very, very curious to hear some of your, let's say tips. There must be better words for it, but I'll be asking it about having better vocabulary, excellent vocabulary from your side. But um, is there anything that you do or recommend? Let's say it's a very general thing, like for example, I'm not a you know um, professional speaker per se, not just yet. So somebody like me or out there who must be seeking some of the simplest things that they can start today, maybe 3 or 4 tips or 2 to 3 tips. Is there anything you can give to us for a recommendation?
The first one, and it's very easy for me because I started many years ago, and it is to that word that you used, vocabulary. I started learning 3 to 5 words every day, and I put them in an exercise book
Oh.
with the meanings from the dictionary. Now, okay, so I've got them in the dictionary. Why transfer them over to my personal exercise book? because the very mere fact of me writing down manually and then writing down the meanings along with the accents of the word. Like if I were to give a word like fire, fire, you think normally it's got two sounds, but in the vocabulary, you also need to pronounce that right. It's in
Mm-hmm.
fact, fire has got three sounds. Fa, hi, fire. So now not only do you have a word for fire, which is obviously the thing that can burn your hand and cook food and cook our kimchi and cook or boil our rice, but you need to pronounce that, in fact, as good as a native speaker because we're competing globally. So you need to pronounce that, have the word, which is vocabulary, and pronounce it right, fire. So the very first thing is, even I today still do things like that. Word power made easy. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the books I have, right? Of course, the other things you can have is obviously a thesaurus. Maybe you can't
Mm-hmm.
see that because it's going backwards, right? But you can get that on your phone easy. And then I still keep on reading, for example, how language works.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a prolific reader. Why? Because to increase my vocabulary for you, for me, for any person, is an ongoing job, Jane. Because to think that we can stop learning, we start to die. Now, let me come back to vocabulary and the word because I can just talk for on and on and on. A word has a meaning. So if I were to use the word face, F-A-C-E, if I say, Jane, I think you've got a most unique, lovely face. That word has a meaning to that. You feel that. A face. Touch your face. Touch my face. Your lips. Your lips are very tender this morning. I see you've been eating chili. So the word itself is only just a word, it's only vocab. But Jane, the important thing is that word lips and face has a meaning. And then we put the voice behind it to say, what a lovely face you have. You get that? So AI, yes, can give us the script, but we as communicators need to say that. So my voice is a window to my mind and a channel towards your mind and your feelings. So that's why we need and must expand our vocabulary. Does not mean that we use these huge, big 7 or 8 syllable words like epistemological structure of words. We don't need to use that. We can say, oh, on the past history of the study of words. That's etymology. But we don't need to say that. But I know the meaning of that because I've studied
Mm-hmm.
that. But I can break that word down. It means the study of words. Now you understand that, right?
Yes, yes.
So that's
That
my tip. Expand your vocabulary.
Thank you so much. That was an amazing way to put it. So again, articulacy, I believe, comes from, many of the times sufficient vocabulary and abundant vocabulary, I can see. So you are doing these practices in terms of readings and collecting and keep on learning more vocabulary or even how to practice those vocabulary words into the real life examples. So do
Most
you, just
important.
out of curiosity, do you, when you are giving a speech, for example, I understand that you're a corporate executive speaking coach, but I believe there must be occasions where you have to put some words down in writing. Do you also do writing, and do you think writing helps your speaking process or at least
Yeah,
thinking process?
absolutely. There's 4 ways in which we human beings learn. The first thing is just listening to Jane, listening to you and taking in what you're saying. When I'm
Mm-hmm.
listening to you, I got to hear your voice. And your voice tells me, and I can quickly judge whether you're intelligent, whether you're compassionate, whether you are a very kindly person, and whether you know what you're talking about, just from your voice. Because your voice contains words and vocabulary. It has tonality, it has pitch, it has pace, it has power, it has pronunciation. And just by hearing you for the first 5 to 6 seconds, everybody judges you from your voice. So let's come back again, right? So we listen first and then we read a lot. That's how we take in learning. Then to represent that, we need to speak and then to write. So two ways we take in, two ways we put out. And we must do that. We must balance up. We can't keep on reading, 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 and listening, 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 and never speak and never write. So writing could be as simple as an email. So you write to me and I write back to you an email. Or maybe you've got a difficulty and I explain to you on writing how to overcome that obstacle through writing. Can you see how the expression of communication works? And then you can pick from your vocabulary how to say something nicely or sarcastically or tell lies. And you can tell whether I'm telling a lie or not. And that's the power of language.
Mhm. Amazing, amazing.
Isn't it
Very
amazing?
interesting indeed. So you can take on by writing, reading and listening, but also
Mhm.
there is an, outlet for your creations by, writing and
And
speaking,
speaking.
right?
Yes.
So do you believe there's a way we can easily start on our daily life and work to practice speaking as a very small practice? Like,
Yes.
sometimes it feels just so huge. So writing for me personally is so much easier. It feels at least easier because I'm an introvert. There's not so much, like writing is something that you can do by turning on the computer. But speaking somehow feels like, to some people, I believe, some, overwhelming task. So, do you have, by any chance, a recommendation for us to overcome this, you know, overwhelming feeling and put it
Mhm.
into a small practice in our life?
Oh, of course. When I jump onto a bus in Sydney, I always say, good morning. Hi. So simple. A hi or a good morning gets me to speak to the bus driver. Or I say, thanks, driver. Or even better, I'll say, thank you, captain. He's the captain on the bus, like the captain of a jumbo jet. And I usually get a smile from them and a nod. That is communication. Or I might say to a lady when I'm waiting in the supermarket and I watch her shopping trolley and I say, ooh, that's a nice vegetable. What do you call that and how do you cook that? Can you see how I force myself to say things? And usually 80% of the time, I would say I get a very nice response back. Oh, my family loves this. This is called rhubarb, and I cook rhubarb pie. And then, before you know, we're in a heavy conversation. Maybe she's already shared
Mhm.
with me the story of her life, even before we get to the checkout. So that's good because this poor lady has been needing expression. Somewhere along the line, there's someone not trying to sell her anything, insurance or house agent, just inquiring about the rhubarb. And can you see, Jane, it makes us back into humanity again because man
Mm.
and woman are social creatures. And through speaking, very simple things. How was that? Oh, what a lovely top. Where did you get that top from? Oh, I love your glasses frame. Oh, what a lovely hairstyle. Where'd you get those earrings from? Very simple. You don't need to make like a presidential speech. Just simple things. Oh, I like that. Oh, I love your face. It's so cute. That's it. But even then, Jane, sometimes we feel as if we're going to be judged. Oh, if I say that to Miss Jane, she'll think I'm picking her up or something, being naughty. So the first thing is to be self aware, aware of my own emotion. What am I trying to do in this earth? Am I trying to learn more? Yes, to learn more, you must pay the price. You can write and be very quiet in your room. No one's going to judge you until you publish that. Then you think, will they like it? How many likes do I have? Oh, I got a comment. And then you cringe, right? But when you're speaking, it's too late. The moment you've opened your mouth, right? It's too late. Hello. Hello, I'm not talking to you. You get
Mm.
immediate response when you speak. That's why life is immediate response. I mean, I write, you write. It's very easy, right? We write, sit quietly. But once we go outside and we start to speak, we're going to get judged.
Sure, sure.
And that's the fear of being judged. You're right.
Something to keep in mind, but also I really like the way you put like how you interpret it as a way of expressing themselves even during those small talks. So I think it's a good way of self-expression also, speaking like doing or being in any form of conversations can be a form of self-expression. So this is a great insight. Thank you so much for sharing that. Actually, I was wondering to so my second and third question both related to the vocabulary and lexicons. So this was not actually on my question list, but I wanted to go deeper if that's okay with you. So I believe there are different lexicons, right? And depending on what you do and what characteristics of your work contain or your life contains, you have to pick and choose from different groups of vocabulary, right? So from
Sure.
different lexicons,
Sure.
how would you recommend us to do? Like, for example, in our daily conversations, we don't want to go too difficult. But on the other hand, when we are giving a public speech, we want to go a bit higher than that in terms of vocabulary. We want to choose a bit differently, but don't want to be too difficult. So it should be something intriguing, but I like sometimes we want to sound a little bit different and a little bit complicated sometimes, and also sophisticated. Would you recommend? Would there be any way that you can recommend us to group these different categories of vocabulary?
Fairly easy. Kim, Jane, when you are talking to a toddler, 4 or 5 year old toddler, little child, do you use sophisticated, complicated language? Yes or no?
No, not at all. I wouldn't
No,
say.
no, 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 no. Because let's come back to the very first basic question of what is communication. It is to put across my understanding of something to you, and I want you to understand me without having to think too hard, right? So it's really the first one, which is 3 words: understand your audience. 3 words. Who are they?
Mm,
Are they a group of nanotechnologists? Then use nano language. Are they a group of CEOs? Then use the language of business, returns on investment, capital expenditure, depreciation. Use those words. But when you're talking to some university students, Jane, and they're looking for a job, well, appeal to their emotions. What sort of job do you want? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? So talk in terms of the language that your audience understands. If I'm talking to my grandmother, dare I use grandma? I would love to have a scintillating conversation with you, my dear. She'd probably slap me, right? What are you talking, grandson? Speak in common language. And that's the thing. Understand your audience. And that way, then you don't need to be sophisticated, because if you use sophisticated words with a younger audience, they'll think you're crazy. You don't understand us. Uh-oh. You're doomed as a communicator. A communicator must connect. You must speak so that I can follow you. And on the most basic single linguistic communication is a sentence. I love your spectacles. That's got a lot of meaning. A question: where did you get that jumper from? Yeah, anything must evoke something on me and move my intellectual rigor so I know you're talking sense, and then use your artistic flair to come through with a story. Oh, I like that. And that is very good as a speech or even communication. Appeal to people's emotion, make them feel good. Because
mm-hmm.
I will not remember all your bits and bytes and this and password managers and protectors and bit and all those wonderful things and cloud. Until you say, when you do this with me and I'll take you through step by step, you'll feel very, very safe, Jane. Ah, now I trust this guy. You gotta appeal to head and heart and do it in a way that is authentic and not manipulative. Does that answer your question somehow?
Absolutely, yes.
Understand your audience, pitch it at
Yes.
that level.
These are very, very excellent answers. So you have to always keep your audience in mind, what they would feel from your speaking or speeches. And sometimes, different things or different words evoke different things from different people or for different people, which by all means is something that we cannot control. So I believe it's important for you to stay within the language which can resonate with as many people as possible. I think it's also important for us to know, like, how far we want to go. And there are ways, very, very good ways to not cross the lines. So without, evoking, for example, negative feelings, there are ways to deliver messages we want to deliver. So there are still many good ways that we can do and achieve the goals we want to achieve. So again, there are many different practices, uh, ideas and practices that we can take away from this talk, I believe. So, emotions, authenticity, those are also very, very important
And
key
and one more,
elements.
and one more, caring. So if I'm wanting to correct you in something that you're doing wrong, first of all, I got to be very caring. I got to see why you're doing that, because people do things because they think it's right. Otherwise, they would have done it the way that you want, right? Because they don't know, or they're not sure, or they're doing it despite me. So we need to be very caring and find out, empathize with them first. I see you're doing this. I observe you're doing that. That's the result. And I'm not quite sure whether it's achieving the output that we want. Can you help me clarify that, please? Can you see how I said that? Rather than saying, you're doing it wrong. That's not the way. That's why language and vocabulary, and I'm using only very simple words, is the pathos, and the logos, going back to the Greek. It is the thinking, the logical thinking. It is the emotive part that I care about you. And let's get this thing together. Let's work together on this. So it's very powerful, you can see.
Absolutely, yes. Language itself is very powerful. So we want to be cautious when using it, utilizing it. So this was an absolutely helpful, useful discussion that we had this morning. Thank you so much. I already took up almost 1 hour of your morning on this Thursday. So I want to appreciate you again and your time and your sharing wisdom with us. So would there be any last comment
Yes,
for those who would be watching?
I've always got a famous few last words. The first minute and the last minute of our lives, and every second in between, is language. It's the
Mm,
words that we use. Don't for a moment take for granted language, because from the time that a special person comes into your life, that minute, beginning of the minute, and that minute in between, every second counts. It may not be spoken words, it could be just a look, maybe just a touch, maybe just a departing kiss. Bye. That is language. Doesn't necessarily have to be vocabulary or words, but that is the way that we treat ourselves and treat others. Because there are often times, Jane, when I think, oh, I was very blasé with that moment. I didn't attend to that person. So every minute, from the first to the last, and all the seconds in between, we communicate. That's my last words.
wow, that was wonderful and powerful. Again, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time and all the
You're
messages you
welcome.
delivered.
Thank
Take
you.
care and
Thank you,
bye,
Jane.
everyone. Thanks so much for
Bye bye.
joining. Have a great
Thank
one.
you. Bye.
Bye.